Hi and good evening, everybody. Before I begin, I would like to say thank you, Pastor Agu, for the opportunity to speak briefly on the issue of racism in the UK and to give my personal experience of it. Given the time constraints, I'll be brief and provide you with a general overview of my thoughts. I have made some notes that I'll be referring to as I go along. Firstly, I'll begin by giving my thoughts on racism as it affects the UK, then speak about my personal experience of racism, and conclude on the initial steps that need to be taken to remove it once and for all. So what are my views on racism in the UK? Well, during this pandemic, I have seen a wokeness like never before. People have become more aware of themselves and in fact have found more time to spend on things which are important. For example, making time for family, reading, and even trying out a new recipe. The sad reality surrounding George Floyd's death has brought the world to revisit a topic that has long been sidelined into the pile of things to do to the forefront of world politics. In Britain, we must not see the happenings of the death of George Floyd as an American issue of racism, but rather a global pandemic which has long plagued the UK through its colonial past and history of empire. Some may say that that's in the past, and yes, we have come a long way from it. But I dare say that racism has simply evolved and has since moved from the overtly crude use of the N-word to being institutionalized. And it has taken a somewhat professional, subtle, and passive form in our everyday lives. Some would say that racism is in the very fabric of our institutions, and it is more endemic, and it tends to rear its ugly head when pressure is applied. So, to my experience of racism in the UK. Well, as a first-generation Nigerian living and working in the UK, I've experienced some of the best forms of racism, both overtly and subtle. So, in my primary years, I recall being called the N-word simply because I ran for the ball and caught it before my white counterparts could reach it. I was the Usain Bolt of my time. Bringing it closely to my adult years, I recall having to take steps not to appear angry or aggressive to my white colleagues by speaking in a softer tone and having to wear my facial hair and haircuts in such a way that would accommodate their perceptions of a peaceful black man. The UK is still very racist, not because they go around killing black people physically, but because they have created an environment through history that has forced a generation to look at race before they look at one's personality and ability. It is a fact that the black race has suffered the most from this. We, of course, know the repercussions of that in terms of social mobility and socio-economic developments. Let's take a look, for example, in sports, where black footballers till today are heckled with monkey noises in the Premier League, despite their achievements. Or let's take a look at politics, where the recent Black Lives Matter movement saw words and phrases such as thuggery and criminals being used so flippantly by our leaders. It is a fact that on the black issue, there is a reluctance to stand side by side in dealing with it. But yet on other social issues, please take note, on other social issues, and in fact other groups who receive racist attacks, politicians will be fired immediately and quickly labeled as racists and bigots. The fact that black humanity is still being discussed, even after the abolition of slavery, the civil rights movement in America, and the race relations in the UK, and globally the end of modern discrimination such as apartheid, should not surprise people. And I'll tell you why. What has been happening in the UK is a form of tokenism, which now people are starting to realize is not enough. individuals who are black are realizing that they deserve a seat at the table and should not be seen as children of a lesser God. The shocking revelation that in the UK in 2015, the UK government just finished paying former slave owners compensation from UK taxpayers' money because their business was affected by our freedom. This is a testament to the fact that if black British individuals don't wake up to this reality, that is not an American issue, we will continue to assume that things are okay here, when in fact there needs to be a real change effected in policy and law. I do have so much to say on this topic, but in the meantime, I hope we can all stay safe, informed and connected to the things in life that are important. Further, continue to bring light to the ills of racism as it relates to people of color until it is eradicated once and for all. Thank you all so much for listening.